something else I did in the weekend is noticed something, Chewy, and I'll share this with you. And I'm sure this will start a shitstorm somewhere. But I noticed this. Imane Khelif won a gold medal for boxing in the weekend. And I just noticed that it seemed, compared to when she won her first fight, it was remarkably quiet on the Twitterverse from those right-wing trolls. Now, I'm not saying there weren't some out there making all the same revolting claims. And remember, these claims are based on a person's account of something that their banned group did. No one's seen this evidence yet. Just remember that really clearly. No one's seen this evidence. It might be there, but no one's seen it yet. And it was very quiet about this. And you would have thought if they're going to, go hard at it in the first fight, they'd be 5 times as loud after she won gold. But much like we talked about Chewy, maybe she should give it a crack. Guess what? She is taking legal action. Now, I don't think that means your racist Uncle Bob from Nelson is going to get had up by, get a lawyer's letter for something that was set on the Twitterverse. I don't think it's necessarily that aligned to New Zealanders not talking about it. But it is interesting to think about those big few, J.K. Rowling being one of them, Elon Musk being another one, lots of politicians. Who knows where it could? And of course, not all the right, the ones that are still playing the game are like, great, they'll have to do a chromosome test. And yeah, they probably will. And what if it comes back XX? Then what, fuckers? And the other thing is, if it was to come back XY, that doesn't actually necessarily mean the conversation's over. What that means is a new conversation needs to begin. Because no matter what people want to say to you, XY doesn't, 99.99 recurring percent, it means male. And then there is the intersex, the DSD group of people as well. Then what conversation happens is, are DSD patients, people with DSD, able to compete in a female class? That's when that conversation starts. That's not where it ends by saying, aha, male. And they don't seem to catch up on this very well. So if it comes back XX, there's a couple of particularly revolting and repugnant right-wing trolls that I said a couple of times over the week. If you end up being wrong, will you come on and publicly apologize? Neither of them responded to that question from me. Right. And there's some pretty significant public ones. If it comes back XY, what you're going to have from a whole bunch is that they're going to claim absolute truth and they're going to go, that's it, it's over. But my belief would be, okay, so this is someone with DSD, intersex, whichever is the correct terminology for this individual. That begins a conversation around what do we think about DSD people with DSD being in female sports. That's when that starts, because it's not the transgender people in female sports. It's not that. It's another conversation. Anyway, Drew, I just thought it was, I know you're not really on Twitter, but I observed far less noise being made after the gold was won.
No, the first conversation was vile. And then the pushback against it was really strong. And I don't know, look, I'm first to admit, I'm prone to a little bit of echo chamber because I don't tolerate fuckwits.
Yep.
But yeah, the pushback was strong. The information counteracting what these horrible people were saying was good. It explained things to people. And I think the takeaway here is biology never fits in a box.
Oh, well, I think what we say is mostly, I think what we say most of the time it does. But when it doesn't, that doesn't mean you can then ram it into a box. Because sometimes it doesn't. Mostly it does. Mostly it's easy. But when it doesn't mean that therefore, when someone's born with one leg, you don't force them into the box that you have to do everything and operate like you've got 2 legs, because you don't. So some accommodations are going to be made. So that's when we got to figure out it's a new box, actually. It's a different box from the big one that 99% of people are in. But it doesn't make that smaller box any less valid.
I mean, how many times do we have to learn that biology doesn't fit in a box as much as we want it to? The male and female. Well, we learned that there's definitely gray areas around that. Gay and straight. Well, you're either gay or you're straight. Well, we know that that's not true either. It just keeps happening. We keep looking at things and then finding out that it's not a box, it's a spectrum.
Yep. And this is the problem with this
Is just
conversation.
that again.
Well, we talked about this last week. The problem with this conversation is you've got this ideological position in the world who have made their who have defined themselves as the people who force through the issue that there are only two genders and two sexes. So now those same people have to stay in those boxes and fit everything else into those boxes. So when you get the very rare occasional in-between situation, they're the ones that are still going, got a Y is a male, no matter what the actual science would say.